Welcome, everyone, to another Flick and the Bozman show. And we even have a special guest tonight who I'll introduce momentarily. But we're going to talk some football and maybe even a little baseball. How's it going there, Boz?
It is going great, Flick. How are you?
Oh, how could I be any better? I don't know.
How
I'm
indeed.
awesome. I'm doing great. I'm a Jet fan. I'm a Met fan. What could be better in life?
Hey, you could be looking at the Giants. They're definitely better. They're
Oh, that was.
a good one game better.
I'm only gonna let you blame one person. Who's to blame for last night?
Who is to blame for last night? I am going to say Jason Garrett.
Jason Garrett, the offensive coordinator.
Yep.
I'll go with Evan Ingram. I think that pass
Nah.
has to, that pass has to be caught. When I throw a pass like that to my nephew, he always catches it, and so that's why he's on the show. As Kevin Hall is joining us tonight. How's it going, Kevin?
It's going good. It's a pleasure to be here. Feels good being a Steeler fan.
Compared to what? It's a pleasure to be here. Anything else would be better. But you're here with us, and you are going to attempt to make some NFL picks of 5 random games. And if you were a Flick and the Bozman listener some 15 or so years ago, is it more than that? Jeez.
It is.
We tried to pick some games every week with the spread. We are doing none of that, and I am not even doing any of the picking for various problems I may have had in life. But hopefully, getting past them for a long time now. But I have 5 games here that both Dave, the Bosman Ingray, and Kevin are going to simply pick the winners, and they can give a little explanation why. And Boz, as the senior member of the show, you get to decide this first game if you're picking first or you're making Kevin. You can both pick the same team, so it's not like you're
Yeah.
drafting the winner.
Right. As to who gives the explanation. I'll let the kid go first.
The kid go first. Browns at Bengals. The 4-2 Cleveland Browns travel all the way to Cincinnati to take on the 1-4-1 Bengals. Kevin, your pick and a reason why.
I mean, you just got to go with the Browns here, even with what happened last week. Both of their losses were to the Ravens and Steelers by quite a bit, but Cincinnati does not have the defense that either of them do. I honestly don't think this game is going to be close. I can see the Browns winning by 10 or more points.
All right, Boz, you agree or disagree with the kid as you called him?
I'd like to see the Bengals make a showing in here, but I do agree. I don't think they have quite the horses yet. The Mayfield's been playing well. They've gotten some when they haven't had to play, as Kevin said, in the tougher teams in the division, who are arguably the 2 best teams in the NFL. Or certainly 2 of the best, if not the 2 best. They do look a lot better. So
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
So you both go with the Browns. I put it out there on our Twitterverse. That's at FlickBoz. If you disagree with these 2 so-called experts or agree with them, you can let us know. And one lucky Twitter respondent, is that a word? Respondent will be allowed on the show if they defeat both of you. So that's it's quite a challenge. It's tough to beat you both, but we'll see what happens. So if you want to play along at Twitter, just get a message to us at FlickBoz, all one word, and we move on to game number 2. And that one, the Boz will start, and it's that traditional matchup of Packers at Texans.
Packers at Texans. The Texans have been playing marginally better.
They are 1-5, by the way.
Yeah, I understand, but they won the first game after they dumped O'Brien, and I think they did pretty well last week in a losing effort, taking the Titans to overtime. But on the other side, you've got the Packers, who had been playing brilliantly until they kind of ran into a buzzsaw last week. And I remember, yeah, the Buccaneers just dumped them on their
They
tuchuses.
had an early lead, but
Yeah, things turned ugly quickly there. Um, I'm gonna go with the Texans in this one, and maybe what it might be a bit of a surprise.
I'm surprised. Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I like the determination with the Texans, but I honestly just have to go with the Packers here. Their only 2 turnovers of the year so far were last week against the Buccaneers.
Hey, no fair. You brought stats and stuff. You're not allowed to do that.
My bad. Well,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
anytime Rodgers gets, stomped on primetime television, or in that case, a 425 game, he bounces back the next week with determination. And look, I love Deshaun Watson, but it's a one man show on offense. They have no wide receivers ever since DeAndre Hopkins left. And, David Johnson isn't quite as good as he was with Arizona in his first few years, but he's been solid. But I just can't see the Packers losing back to back games.
Do you
And
think the State Farm ads have affected Rodgers in any way?
nah, I don't know. Last week, I think they're good whenever they're ahead, but whenever they fall down, they can't come back. Like that's the problem the Ravens have too. They just can't. They're front runners. But
Well,
I'm gonna
we're
take the
now coming to game 3, which is probably a game that Kevin's going to have plenty to talk about. And I doubt I'll be shocked at his pick here, but we have the battle of 5-0 teams as the 5-0 Steelers travel to the 5-0 Titans.
All right, look, I might be a little bit biased here,
A
but
little.
I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh, and here's why: because AJ Brown has been hurt the whole week. So if he's out, who is Tannehill gonna throw to? Like he's been great out of ever since he got out of Adam Gaze's system. But
Wait. Was that a shot? I'm not sure. That sounded like a shot.
yeah, a little bit of a shock. But listen, Steelers they're the best, or at least one. They're 1 or 2 in the league at stopping the run. And Henry's the machine, but I think we're gonna stack the box every single play, even without Devin Bush. Taylor Lewan, he's out for the year, so I think Bud Dupree is gonna step it up. And I think it's not gonna be pretty. Most Steeler games aren't, besides last week. But I'm gonna see us winning by about a field goal or so.
Will the Steelers unnecessarily go for 2 at some point in the game?
Most likely, knowing Tomlin, but I mean, he's not Doug Peterson. He's not going to do it randomly.
Whoa. That was an interstate shot at Doug Peterson.
I'm just glad to
Uncalled
beat
for.
them somehow. Travis Fulgham, it was close, but we pulled it off.
Dave, what are you doing with Steelers Titans here?
I would love to try to win back the game. I probably just gave away with the Texans pick, and take the Titans here. But I look at their record. They beat the Broncos by 2, the Jaguars by 3, the Vikings by 1, and the Texans in overtime.
Hmm.
It's not exactly a murderer's row that they beat. They did have an impressive win against the Bills a couple weeks ago, 42-16. But I agree with Kevin that you can make Henry beat you,
Yeah.
and or make Tannehill beat you rather, and I think they can do that. So they can win doing that. That is, and so I will take Pittsburgh
So
as
you're
well.
you're both going with Pittsburgh as we're doing our Flick and the Bozman picks. You can do your picks and compete with our experts, our very own Bozman and Kevin Hall, attempting these 5 games. And you can respond on Twitter at FlickBoz. You can find us on Gmail as well. If you need to email us, you can do so there. But we'll move on to game 4. And that will be one where, Boz, you will go first. And that is 49ers at Patriots.
Well, the 49ers are a 3-3 team, and I believe
3-3.
the Patriots are 2-3. Patriots are struggling a bit. They actually have both teams have had kind of their ups and downs. The 49ers have had the two of their wins come against the Jets and Giants, which is
They count.
not that does count. They did lose to the Eagles. They got destroyed by the Dolphins. Um, Not overly impressive there. The Patriots with a really tough loss rather last week. Tough being, I don't know how you lose to the Broncos. Uh, I just don't think the Broncos are very good, and to lay an egg like that is hard. So I don't really like either of these teams, I guess is what I'm getting at. Um, Put a gun to my head, and I will say that I don't see the Patriots losing a third straight game. I'm going to pick them to edge the 49ers traveling all the way to Foxborough.
So Boz is going with New England. What do you got there, Kev?
I'll make things interesting because I was thinking about New England, but I'll provide the other side. So I'll go with the Niners here because one, the Patriots couldn't get really anything going until the fourth quarter. I think they were down 18-3. And, although their defense finds a way to get, turnovers every single week, it seems like. I love Cam, and I think he's been a great player, but I don't think he can carry an offense, especially with the weapons or the lack of weapons that they have around him. Julian Edelman, he was great with Brady, but he hasn't been much without him. And I don't think it's going to work out very well against that Niner defense with Sherman covering. And even without Bosa and much of a pass rush like last year, they still have young studs like Fred Warner. Well, they don't have like anybody else on the D line now because they got rid of everybody, but New England doesn't have much of an O line either. So I'll go with the 49ers barely in a shootout.
Barely in a shootout against New England. And that leaves us with one game to go. And Kevin, you got to go first. And it is I believe this is a night game. It's the 5-0, maybe the best team in the NFL. The 5-0 Seattle Seahawks against the 4-2 Arizona Cardinals in Arizona.
Yeah, I just can't really go against Russell Wilson right now. I think in his career at Arizona, he's like 6-1-1. So betting against him at Arizona is obviously
We're
something.
not betting. We're just picking.
Rooting against
There you go.
Russell Wilson in at Arizona is something that you don't want to do. And Seattle just finds a way to pull out, games, seemingly out of thin air because, against Arizona, my bad, against Minnesota, it just seemed like they were dead to rights. And then, Wilson, sure enough, leaves him downfield, like it was nothing. And he's honestly my early pick for MVP just because, he doesn't really have much of a defense he's working with. Jamal Adams, he's hurt. Bobby Wagner is kind of the only like stable piece they really have anymore from the Legion of Boom, and he wasn't even really considered part of them. He was kind of his own thing. And although Arizona, came off a huge win, it's against a Dallas team that's a dumpster fire right now with Mike McCarthy leading them. So I'm gonna go with Seattle barely.
This is your chance, Boz. Arizona's outscored opponents by 54 points. Seattle's only done it by 34. Is that enough for you?
That is plenty for me. I'm going to go with the upset here. If there's an upset, it certainly seems a little crazy to pick the 2-loss team against the undefeated team. But I'm going to do it. I think that the Cardinals are playing well. They've certainly dominated the bad teams that they've played, like the Cowboys, the Jets, and the Washington team football. But they sorry, Phil and I laughed about that because it's the acronym is much better that way than the way they officially call themselves. But
Yeah.
they did have a strange loss against the Panthers a few weeks back, and a little concerned about the loss to the Lions. But the Eagles, the Seahawks, as Kevin said, they seem to just edge out these teams. A 1-point win against the Vikings, a 1 touchdown win against the Cowboys. The only time they've looked impressive all year was really impressive was the opening week win against the Falcons, and even that they gave up a ton of points. So I'm gonna go with the Cardinals and hope for a bit of a surprise there.
All right, so I'll just wrap up the rundown of the picks here. If I get anything incorrect, just let me know, and then Boz is going to hit Kevin and I with some trivia, and we're going to flounder with attempting to answer them. But for the Browns at Bengals game, both the Boz and Kevin picked the Browns. For Packers at Texans, Boz went with the Texans, and Kevin went with the Packers. Both our experts went with Pittsburgh to defeat the Titans in Tennessee. For the 49ers at Patriots, we got Kevin picking the 49ers and Boz picking the Patriots. And then Seattle at Arizona, the third one of the five they'll disagree on. Boz went with the Arizona Cardinals, and Kevin went with the Seattle Seahawks. And again, if you want to get your picks into us and maybe a chance to appear on the show, do that on Twitter at FlickBoz. And you got some trivia for us there, Dave, right?
I do. I was instructed to find 6 trivia questions about the NFL since 1990, or including 1990. So here you go. Question number 1.
Kev, you can try all these first, Kevin, and I'll either agree with you, correct you, or we'll both be wrong or whatever.
Sounds good.
All right. Question number 1, Kevin. Who is the only quarterback in NFL history to throw for 4,000 yards in a season for 3 different teams?
So 4,000 yards for 3 different teams.
And it is all these happened since 1990.
Since 1990. First off, I got to think of somebody who's been with the different teams.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
That is a good start. It does help. Obviously the Peyton Mannings of the world are right out the window there.
Yeah.
We'll give you a hint. He is no longer active.
Oh, that I was gonna say Fitzpatrick, and that was gonna be like a guess. But...
Well, he got benched. Does that count as inactive?
Yeah. Dang, I don't even know. I'm kind of drawing a blank right now. I gotta.
And all 3 teams were after 1990?
That is correct.
Jeez, I can't even. I might just need to make a guess here.
I know I'm making a guess, and I don't even like it, but
yeah.
I can't even name his third team. But
yeah, I'll go Favre. I don't think he was that good with the Jets, but that's the only thing coming to mind right now.
Yeah, he's probably got it with the Packers and Vikings. That's a good guess. It's not the one I'm going with. I'll go with Warren Moon.
Warren Moon. That is, those are both good guesses. I think Moon may have been a little before 1990 with some of his.
Well, that's what I'm figuring the Oilers and the Vikings. I don't have a third team, but I don't know. It's not good.
I will tell you, looking up his stats, he did throw for 4,000 yards in 1990 and in 1991, and again in 94 and 95 for 2 different teams.
Damn.
Did he do it for a third team? I'm not saying.
Ooh.
He did
All right.
two other teams, so it could be. That's not a bad guess, as it turns out. He did start obviously in the early 80s. In 84 was his rookie year. The 28-year-old rookie out of the CFL.
The CFL, right? Yeah. Well, he did. You didn't exclude them in the Rough Riders, did you?
I did. It did say NFL, I believe, in the question.
Darn
it. Who is the last defensive player, the most recent defensive player to win Super Bowl MVP?
Malcolm Smith.
Malcolm Smith.
Malcolm Smith. Who had the interception for might be the same guy. No, it's not. Who had the interception for New England in the end zone?
That was Butler.
That was Butler. I'm going with him. I'll go with Butler.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Brady got it that year. I was thinking Butler too, but I remember for a fact Malcolm Smith got
There's that weird guy for Dallas who got it against Buffalo once, but someone must have won it since then.
Yeah.
I can tell you, you're correct that Malcolm Smith did win the Super Bowl MVP in 2014. I am not going to say whether or not that is the correct answer.
Got it.
All right. We could be struggling here.
Wait, can I change my guess?
Change your guess. That's highly unlikely. I don't know.
It's Von Miller.
Changing his guess. All right.
I forgot about 2015.
For the Denver
Broncos.
Question number 3. Who threw for a record 6 touchdown passes in one Super Bowl game? And it happened since 1990.
That was the Washington guy. I'm pretty
Doug Williams.
Yeah, Doug Williams.
Did he throw 6? He threw 5 1/4, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't.
Super Bowl was 1988.
I'm not going to go with him. I'm not going to go with Williams.
I would. He was 88 was his Super Bowl, so I would advise against that pick.
I'm going with Steve Young.
Dang. Because against the Chargers, right?
That's what I'm thinking.
All right.
What do you got, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I know for a fact Brady didn't do that. I honestly think it is Steve Young too, but I said Doug Williams, and I already changed my guess once. So
there's no rules here. That's all right.
No rules, just right.
There you go. Question number 4. Who was the last running back to be taken number 1 overall in the NFL draft?
Was that that wasn't Ricky Williams. I think he was second.
Wow, running back. Where was Barkley taken?
He was second too.
He was second?
Yeah. Trying to think. It hasn't been recently because running backs aren't as important anymore. I think Ricky Williams was also second.
That was giving up the whole.
Was it Reggie Bush?
Reggie Bush.
I think it may have been Reggie Bush.
Reggie Bush.
From USC.
Because he was a freak in college. I remember that.
He was.
Running back taken first. Oh. I don't.
I looked it up since 1990. 18 of the drafts featured a quarterback taken number 1.
Yeah, they got it.
18 of the last 30 years.
I know it's wrong, but I don't have a better guess than Barkley, so I'll say Barkley.
Barkley is not a good guess.
I don't have a good guess.
That's all right. Since
I don't have a good guess. Leonard Fournette. There, I said it. Good guess.
Since 1990, what is the only college to produce 3 number 1 overall picks, and they're all quarterbacks?
I remember Phil said something about NC State, but I don't think they were all number 1 overall picks.
No, I think NC State has like 5 current starters or something.
Yeah.
NC State, I will tell you, has one recent number 1 overall pick, and it was Mario Williams.
So, that is not good.
That's not a good guess.
How
many does USC have, Kevin?
I don't even know. Probably not a lot. I know Luck was number 1, and he went to Stanford. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but who else is at Stanford?
Probably nobody of relevance. Where did Eli go? He was number 1 too. Or no, he was 4. I think wasn't Rivers 1, or I might be mixing that up.
No, technically, Eli was number 1.
Huh.
Yeah, Rivers is one of the NC State guys, but
oh yeah.
Yep.
Sort of, kind of.
Eli's a Mississippi guy.
So it was number 1 overall picks, not first round picks, right?
Number 1 overall pick in the first round.
Kevin stalls just like I do.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
all right. It's all good.
You fully understand the question, but you ask questions
yeah,
about
I
it.
gotta think. It's
I
hard.
need to clarify something I totally understand. Let me.
Oh, Cam, maybe Auburn, but I don't know if any.
Auburn.
Yeah, I might go with
You
Auburn.
run the wishbone. What are you talking?
Cam went to Auburn, and he was number
He did, and he was number 1.
I disagree with both those statements.
1.
Cam did go to Auburn, and he was their number 1 pick.
I'm not agreeing with either.
Okay. You are welcome to disagree. You are welcome to be wrong.
Well, where did Bradford go? I
I'm
forget.
not suggesting it's Auburn is the correct answer. I'm just saying those two things are true statements.
If only I remember where Bradford went, because Bradford's probably one of the 3, even if it's not like Auburn.
Bradford.
Because I know
Sam
he was
Bradford, the
Sam.
number 1 overall pick from the St. Louis Rams.
Yep, that's the guy. I forget where he.
Where did he go to school? Huh?
I don't remember.
Does Flick remember? That could be a key to this whole question.
It definitely is.
Or it may be totally irrelevant.
I can't even. Do I remember where he went? I guess I should. Was he a side-arming pitcher for the Mets?
There's Chad Bradford. Chad, his little brother.
Ah, they're related. So he was a side armor.
Yep.
And we know side armors always go to Oklahoma.
Because of the Rattlers.
Yeah.
Out in the.
Wait, who else goes to Oklahoma, Kev?
Oklahoma guys.
Yeah, I know Oklahoma guys.
Guys who are either sooner or later.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember anybody.
Murray went to Oklahoma.
Oh yeah, and Baker. Oh yeah,
and Baker.
It's Oklahoma.
It's Oklahoma, baby.
Dang it! So
Oklahoma.
Bill got
that
it.
That sounds like you might be right.
Where the wind goes whipping down the plain.
Oklahoma.
I completely forgot about Baker and Kyler.
Yeah, I was.
There's only 32 you have to remember.
Two of the last 3 guys picked number 1 overall. And you might think it's last but not least, but there actually is a bonus question. Who has the most tackles in postseason history in the NFL?
And this is after 90?
The correct answer is someone who played all his games after 1990.
I mean, Charles Haley has 5 rings, so I'll just go with him, I guess, and he's a Hall of Famer.
All right.
Most tackles in postseason. Yeah, I guess that gives you a lot of runs there. Give me a good Buffalo. No, they might not be after 90.
Rude Smith's always a good guess, just because he's like the sack king.
Yeah. No, it's got to be a Patriot.
The Bills' first Super Bowl was in January of 1990. So I'll
go with Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith. Okay. Going with the defensive end guys. Okay. And your bonus question, your 7th bonus question. Who is the first quarterback in NFL history? This is not a 1990 person necessarily. Who is the first quarterback in NFL history to throw 4,000 yards in a single season?
I'll say Johnny Unitas.
Johnny U.
Because Namath wasn't a really big stat guy. I know that.
I'm going to go with Medicare pitchman Joe Namath.
Joe Namath.
I just said he wasn't a stat guy.
and if he didn't do it, he might think he did.
Hard to be this good looking. Hard to be humble when you get better looking every day.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And that.
Wait, they only played like 14 game seasons. That's not. Yeah, I'm sticking with Joe.
All right.
No, I'm going back to Warren Moon.
What's that?
Back to Warren. First guy to throw for 4,000? Now I'll go with Joe. Sticking with Joe.
All right.
Broadway Joe.
Or maybe Jim Kelly. But I'm going with Joe.
Go, Joe.
Now, moving on to the World Series. It is David versus Goliath. The number 3 payroll in the MLB against the number 28 payroll in the MLB. How about that?
That's something.
That is something. The team with the most wins against the team with the second most wins.
I thought it was a little unfair when I tuned in the other night that Tampa Bay had 4 outfielders. They shouldn't be allowed to use an extra guy. Why is it 10 on 9? I don't understand.
Yeah, the Dodgers' theory is to hit it where the outfielders can't catch it. So that make it irrelevant.
This is a weird matchup. Although I'm not a Dodger fan, I was happy to see Kershaw pitch one good game. I don't know why I wanted him to pitch a good game, but I did. Just get that postseason silliness off his record. If he comes back and gets shelled in game 5 or 6 or so, that's fine too. I thought it was going to be a short series. I still kind of think it will, and I think the next 3 games are going to be a lot of Los Angeles. Just my thinking, not for any particular reason.
I agreed with you as far as if the series is short, it will almost certainly be a Dodgers win. They have the firepower, they have the pitching, they have a really, really deep bench. But the Rays seem to just find a way. It's like they're playing, a different sport in some regards. Maybe they're taking advantage of the extra players on the roster. Maybe they're taking advantage of some of the screwiness of coronavirus baseball. But they were very successful last year, and in fact, they've been one of the winninger teams in baseball over the last few years. So it's not a fluke. These guys are good.
Oh, yeah, definitely not a fluke. And to have a team come back on you when you're up 3-0 and make it 3-3 and still win that 7th game, it's not a fluke at all. Tampa Bay's a very good team.
And it's funny to look through how their team was built. They keep trading these guys, and they trading that right before they fall apart. Chris Archer and David Price and all these guys that they get as much value as they can out of, and then trade for future value, and they keep finding more and finding more, finding guys like Manuel Margot and Willie Adames and Randy Rosarina. I don't know where these guys come from. And then everybody in their bullpen throws 98, 100 miles an hour. And this is the first team that I've seen that actually created something that I was hoping would happen at some point in baseball. Their entire bullpen throws, everybody in the bullpen throws from a slightly different angle as the person next to them. No two people. You got the submarining lefty all the way around the clock to the submarining righty, and everything in between. And I feel like that's part of their success of their bullpen is that they can bring in 2 guys that throw completely differently, one after the other. And it just keeps teams on their toes, and on their heels even, if that's an even worse thing, I'm not quite sure. So I think the Rays are going to make this interesting. I'm hoping that they pull off the upset and make this an upset. That the Rays can actually win the World Series and keep the Goliath-like Dodgers rather. Sorry for the slip of the tongue there, David and Goliath. Keep them off the World Series track for yet another year.
Kevin, any thoughts?
I mean, I'm not like the biggest baseball guy, but I just think the Dodgers they're bound to win one finally. I was surprised when I saw that Kershaw never won one before. He just seems like the type of guy that would have like a few underneath his belt. But
the Dodgers haven't won since '88.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy, and I know the Rays haven't won at all. I just think the Dodgers. I mean, the Rays look like tired. I forget who they played in the conference.
Astros.
The
Houston,
Astros.
yeah,
But they just look tired against them. I think they were up like 3-0 or something like that, and they
yeah,
almost blew it.
almost
So
blew it.
I just think I saw the Rays won game two, but I just think the Dodgers are gonna win. Just because they have way more talent, and Mookie Betts, he's gonna be like the future of the MLB.
Mookie Betts.
Without going into too much detail now, but Dave, do you think a lot of these rule changes are going to stick going forward?
Uh, we've talked before. I think the DH will definitely stick around in the National League. Um, I kind of gotten used to and kind of enjoyed the extra inning rule of starting with a runner on second. Um, Maybe I'm just getting old and don't like staying up until midnight anymore, but or 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning to watch the end of these long games. But it adds some excitement. And it's not just the I always go back to the equivalent of college football overtime rules, where you get alternate possessions on the 25. No, you don't just settle for a field goal in that. You try and score, and after a couple times, right? I think the rule is you have to get a touchdown,
Mm.
which there's no equivalent of in baseball here. But it's not just bunt them over and get a sack fly and hope it stands up. That's not how the vast majority of these games play out. So um, I'm in favor of that. The one thing I hope they change is the playoff rules. I don't like um, the
Yeah,
fact that
yeah,
the top seeds get nothing for winning the
yeah.
top seed,
No,
although the
I
top
didn't like.
seed
I
can
didn't
win
like that.
the World Series.
And
Um,
there were too many teams. I thought.
yeah, yeah, make it a little bit more special. Go to 14 teams instead of 16, or maybe 12 instead of 16.
Yeah, I
Um,
thought. I thought six each AL and NL was fine.
Yeah, yeah. I would be in favor of doing something that has not been raised recently, which is going back to two divisions in each league, and just give each two division winners a bye, and then let the next four teams play a 3 game play in wild card series or whatever you want to call it. Um, that makes sense to me, rather than trying to screw around with first, second, and third, particularly with unbalanced schedules. It just makes things a little complicated.
It does, and I don't think the average baseball fan could say could draw out how the playoffs went this year because they probably weren't watching every series. They were watching their team if they had a team, or um, just a player or two they like, and that got too much. You should kind of be able to figure out the brackets as you're starting the playoffs, and it should be, especially if you're going to play something like 162 games, it should mean something. It should be special. Now I know they didn't play that this year, but I think they'll go back to something at that number close to it. I wouldn't mind cutting it some, but make it 150, 154, but still make it special to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I liked what they've done in before this year of making uh, the division winners, or making the wild card teams have to play that extra game. So whereas before, uh, teams would be happy just to make the playoffs, there was no incentive to either
No,
win the
none
division
at
or
all.
to take the wild card. So
Yeah,
you get to early September and say, okay, we're good. Uh,
yeah,
and
and that
whereas
that
now,
does.
those top teams want to win their division, or at least up until this year, those top teams continue to play hard to the end of the season, so they don't have to have that one game, coin toss and waste their best pitcher to try to get to the next round to the division
No,
series.
I agree with you totally there. We're going to wrap it up here. We did our football picks, even some World Series talk, and our attempt at doing trivia. Probably not well, but maybe next time around we'll get the answer to those great questions. And if you have some comments for either the Bozman or Kevin, you can make them at FlickBoz on Twitter or hit us up on Gmail, flickboz@gmail.com. And if you haven't listened to episode 13 and you're a Mets fan, you really should, because Dave has some awesome suggestions for the Mets. I tried to give some for the Jets, but I just sounded very upset in episode 14. But you should check out episode 13. And thanks for listening to this one. And Kevin, have a good weekend. And
Bill,
Dave, have a good weekend as well.
Bill,
Yeah,
I actually have some breaking news, if you mind me adding.
Breaking news.
Yeah,
Go for it.
Breaking news from Adam Schefter: Antonio Brown is signing a 1-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So
because he worked so well with Brady in New England that he just had to sign there as well.
They're just getting everybody, it seems like. So, I mean, Bell on the Chiefs now and Brown on the Buccaneers. It's like a Steeler fan nightmare right now.
Steelers should have won more Super Bowls, I think.
Yeah,
well,
I guess so.
Well, with that breaking news, we will call it an early night. And Kevin, thanks for joining us. And Dave, we'll talk to you next time around. And we started with some of the outfield, and we'll end with some outfield. As I read that one of their members passed away during the week. So in honor of that, some more outfield on the way out. But have a good night, both of you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Maybe.
Have a good night. Thank you.